Okay, so I'm going to explore some of the metro, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to film because I think most metros in general, whether it's in former Soviet countries or at home, they don't like it if you film in there. So it's going to be very subtle. I'm going to have to be a little bit stealthy if I'm to do that. I know other people have. It's not like it's some big drama to do, but people won't want me to do it. So this is the Republic Square metro station I'm walking around on top of. What's interesting here is that you can look down into it where there's usually fountains, but I seem to have come outside of fountain season, so I keep missing all the fountains. But these would be exploding out of this pretty floral kind of design. Yesterday I passed by here and there were stray cats playing in there, which was very cute. So this is the overlooking bit before we get into the metro proper. So I read a while ago some things about the metro, and I've looked through my notes, see if I can remember this accurately, that it's one of the more recent ones, some of the final ones from the Soviet period, that was opened in 1981. And around that time they were doing a flurry of metro building, but these ones in different cities never really got the attention that the others did, maybe because they weren't quite as dramatically beautiful, maybe because there was just other stuff going on, like the gradual disintegration of the Soviet state, which could be distracting, I guess. So there is a funny story, I don't know if it's true, but I want it to be true, that Yerevan really had to try and push to get a metro system in place, because it's very expensive to build, and the central authorities from Moscow didn't necessarily want to put in all of that money in just every city unless it needed it. So they had to make their case. And when the officials from Moscow came to do their assessment, this story goes, the local officials who wanted the investment, wanted the metro to be built, did a deal with the local bus drivers and said, whilst the Moscow people are here, you need to try and cause as many tailbacks as possible to make it look like it's absolute gridlock in the city, so that the Moscow officials will think, oh my god, look, the roads are completely overwhelmed, we're going to have to build a metro, there's no way around it. So if that story is true, it's amazing, and it worked because they decided to make a metro. There's only one line, and this is hardly the biggest city in the world, so it's interesting that it has one. I don't believe, I haven't been in yet, that there's absolutely stunning stations as a general rule. I think there are one or two that are particularly noteworthy. The Moscow metro was the original centerpiece for the regime. It was like propaganda central, making palaces for the people, saying this is the vision that we're trying to build of a future of abundance and it's for everyone. That didn't exist really in people's everyday lives unless you were top official. But it was possible in a place like the metro to feel as if some of that was coming true, because it's full of marble, because it's stunning architecture, because there's beautiful mosaics celebrating the achievements of the Soviet Union, whether ones already achieved or the ones they thought they were going to achieve. And you could consider it as much yours as it was anybody else's. It's a public transport system, it was for everybody to use. So that's really potent that you could be in it, you could live in it, and it remains very clean, remains an impressive experience that says we are this people and we have created something, here it is. I'm not sure what this one's going to be like. I don't think it's as dramatic a kind of piece of propaganda. I mean, it's propaganda that works, right? It also gets you places. It's not just a series of lies, but it's telling a story. This one, I don't know if it's telling a particular story rather than being a very useful thing. Hopefully I got some of that in stealth mode. Can't speak or draw lots of attention to myself, but that looked pretty cool one. I mean, this is a pretty nasty looking area from what it appeared to be out of the window of the metro. Just lots of abandoned factory looking buildings, wastelands, nothing much going on at all, it seemed, from the line at least. And then nice circular window, kind of, don't know if I used the words right, but the sort of the archway, I wanted to say a vaulted ceiling, maybe that's not right, but it felt like a little bit religious. I mean, of course it wouldn't be because it's built by the Soviets, but it has that kind of grandeur and reminded me a little bit of the shapes of the cathedral, much more recently built cathedral, that we've seen earlier. From the outside you can see still the archway, the entrance. But it feels kind of bolted on to this bridge that looks kind of a bit worse for wear as well. In fact, all of this seems a bit worse for wear. So I'm not sure if this is an area that I'm going to want to hang out in, but I wanted to walk through the vestibule and see what the rest of the station was like. Turns out it's pretty small, and we're above ground now, something I kind of didn't expect, but there's no reason a metro has to be underground all the way. Even really deep ones like Kiev Metro have overground bits. In fact, it goes over a bridge over the Dnieper River, so you get all kinds of experience from buried deep within to riding super high over the central island in the middle of the Dnieper, where there's a kind of holiday park. And it's going to be pretty loud under this bridge here. I'm going to get my bearings a little bit and see if there's anything worth seeing around here. Doesn't seem like much so far. It's like arriving into a crater. This is the end of the line, and there's a square here that I think is worth seeing, but I need to find my way out of the crater to get there. Here we go, staircase. Wow, I mean, this is quite impressive, but at the same time it feels really tired and worn out. Like, everything is chipped and smashed. And look at the pavement. There's a lot of bits and bobs filled in with just asphalt. Broken blocks. It's not looking its best. And once again, this should be loads of fountains. It's Fountain City after all. And then maybe that hides a bunch of the chipped up broken stuff, but I still have this feeling with all these broken bits and the discoloration. Like, if it weren't for all the traffic around, I'd feel like maybe I was in an episode of The Last of Us. It's just feels a little bit messed up, a little bit strange, unloved. I wonder if it's like this the further you get from the centre, because right in the very centre everything seems to be still looked after, with the metro entrance and just generally the look of these places, like the Cascade area, is pristine and well looked after, and this just feels much less so. So there's a big statue coming up here. Take a look at this guy looming over the scenery. Floodlights available, so I guess he'll be lit up at night. But what is he overlooking? This. Again, I guess if the fountains are flowing, it's going to be kind of cool, but right now it looks like the zombies have been here, doesn't it? It's weird. Well, it turns out this is the second largest square in Yerevan, so I guess Republic Square must be the biggest, and it's in much better repair than this one. It used to be called Surin Spandarian Square, which is the name of a Bolshevik revolutionary, but no one I'd heard of, and in fact he didn't live to see the revolution. He died in Siberian exile before the revolution took place in late 1916, so he'd lived another year, just over another year. He would have got to see his dream of a revolution and the overthrow of the Tsarist regime come true, but he did not. The square, though, has been renamed since then to, and this is difficult for me to pronounce, Yerevan Nejder Square, which is the badly mispronounced, no doubt, name of an Armenian nationalist hero. And it's not his statue up here, though. I believe this is Spandarian up here still, the Bolshevik one, and he's still there, but he's not really named. I don't see any plaque here. I don't see, any name, no information about who he is, so he stands here nameless, overlooking this rather ruined looking square. I mean, maybe again it's going to look better when there's the sunshine, but I was looking at the pictures on Wikipedia and online, and in fact the square looks like it was very beautiful at the start, unless it was just an artist's impression, and was very verdant, beautiful fountains going on, but yeah, that's not what we have going on now, so it's a bit weird, to be honest. Yeah. Does everything just get a facelift in the summer and it suddenly becomes amazing? Or, I mean, I don't know if you could really facelift the rusting old container over here. I mean, that's not just gonna shine up once we get to summer, is it? So what do we got here? We got Rammstein fans. Somebody wants a cigarette. Death to something. I can't read the rest of this. And here we have, if I'm reading this right, Lenin lives. Is this a chef? Lenin Jew? Lenin Veli? What's that last letter? Not sure. I think I'll go back into the metro, perhaps. It's not... Oh, maybe I should look around. Maybe the southern end of the metro line of Yerevan is worth looking at. In fact, it looks like the guys who are in charge of maintaining the square are all gathering today for some coffee. I wonder if is there going to be enough coffee for the amount of work that I think needs done to this place. Yeah, funny spot, very funny spot. Always good to see the underpass shops. Here are some fantastic watches. Yeah, I think it's just not shiny enough for me. Oh, there we go. We have a winner. I think that might just be shiny enough. Look at those brilliant Rolexes. What a bargain.
Զգուշացեք, դռները փակվում են։ Զգուշացեք, դռները փակվում են։
And now I'm outside the youth metro station, if I've got my names right here, and that tube is basically the way that the escalator comes out, or I think the escalator finishes a bit before it, but it's creating the expression as if we're coming up through this tube up on top. And this really forms like a big architectural situation out here. Like, it's really bold, sticking up. It looks a little bit, I guess, tired now, but it's like an explosion of this futuristic piece of engineering coming out from beneath the ground. Now, the metro station here, compared to many, the metro system really is not that deep. They used to do them much deeper in the Soviet Union, sometimes through necessity and sometimes because that's what they decided that they wanted to do. They thought, let's do a proper deep dive under, sometimes because it was on marshy land like the Leningrad, the Petersburg one, it was necessary. In Kiev, some of the stations are incredibly deep because they're right there by the river. And in Moscow, they wanted, well, I think there were a number of reasons, but they decided after consulting with the Brits who had made the London Underground that they didn't want to open the ground and then put the tunnel in and cover the ground. They wanted to bore right under, go deep, excavate, and the Moscow metro is super deep, but not nearly as deep as those on marshy grounds. In any case, whilst the super deep ones are impressive, that's a lot more complexity and engineering, and it seems it wasn't necessary to do that in Yerevan. So a lot of these stations are not as deep as many of the others, but it looks here as if they kind of wanted to make maybe a point about it still, to be like, this is still a big deal, exploding up out of the ground. It's like modernity is thrusting up out with its sharp angles and its big statement and look at me feeling. And I think that's what the metro often did, is like, here is modernity and it's here and it's right now, deal with it. But inevitably it also then kind of clashes with the fact that everything else around it could feel as if it wasn't that modern, and that the metro was the aberration instead of the harbinger of what was to come. In any case, this is really quite cool here. I'm going to explore around this area. There's some bars, some cafes, and over there, if you can see the blue circle, yet more fountains that are not on. It looks like Yerevan is a city of fountains, and I was foolish enough to come outside of fountain season. I guess I'll have to come back sometime. Idly walking around, and there's a sort of deserted area where maybe there's market stalls some of the rest of the time, but not today. And then, as I was looking at yet more non-working fountains here, I spied this. That is a bookshop, and my bookshop radar is sparking hard. I gotta go and investigate whether I can take the camera in there without just looking like a prat or being disruptive. I guess we'll find out.
Вот здесь маленький. Вот это все на русском языке.
Ага.
Вот это исторические армянские книжки. Вот эти. Это
Ну как вас зовут? Я Джон.
Эдуард.
Эдуард. Очень
Эдуард
приятно.
это английское имя.
Да?
Да, английское имя. Эдуард.
А почему у вас английское имя?
А у нас какое хочешь имя есть.
Да.
И датское, и греческое, и армяне такие. Они берут имена. Ну, не знаю, мода, наверное.
Интересно, да?
Джон Хиггинс, вот ты не знаешь
Да,
его?
как Хиггинс. Я
Джон
должен
Хиггинс
знать.
очень известный снукерист. Он очень известный.
И нравится снукер?
Да, мне очень нравится. Очень. Я болею за Марка Селби. Знаешь такого?
Нет, не
Из
знаю.
Лестера.
Окей.
Ну и как тебе Армения? Армения как?
Очень хорошо, да, я прилетел 2 дня назад.
2 дня назад. Правильно
Всё.
говоришь все по-русски?
Ну, стараюсь. Я изучал русскую советскую историю несколько лет назад. И у меня так мало практики.
Ну вот сейчас разговариваем, это уже практика.
Да, конечно, но трудно дома найти практику.
Да. Правильно.
А все в Армении говорит еще по-русски?
Ну, много есть. В основном старое поколение,
Мгм.
которые в возрасте. А молодые так, хотя в школе изучают, но плохо изучают.
Мгм. Это, наверное, английский?
Да,
уже
сейчас
второй
уже
язык.
английский. Да, английский.
Ну, что написано? На карте. Это английский. Summer forever.
Ага. И что это означает?
Лето навсегда. Лето навсегда.
Это навсегда.
Может быть.
Ну, сегодня немножко пасмурно, но в основном бывает уже солнце.
Мгм.
Ну, завтра, послезавтра будет солнце. Тоже исторический роман. Судьба армянская.
Вау. Да, это жилая история у вас, да?
Да, да. Но мы веру не меняем. Сколько веков прошло, мы той же веры, что были. Мы первые, которые стали христианами. Это Армения.
Да?
Да.
Я. Мгм. Да, я знаю. Это важная часть идентичности,
Да,
да?
да, конечно.
И все в Армении христиане, да?
В основном все, но те, которые жили на территории Турции, небольшая часть их отуречили.
Мгм.
Они стали уже мусульманами.
Да.
Ну, их немного. В основном армяне это христиане.
А есть где-нибудь здесь неплохое кофе попить?
Ну, я могу сделать.
Да? Вместе можно попить кофе?
Ну, конечно. Сейчас сделаю.
А вот. Вау. Я такого не видел.
В нем варят кофе.
Просто вода, не водка, да?
Нет, это не водка. И даже не джин.
Но джин мне нравится.
И даже не виски.
Что вы думаете про виски
Я
национальное?
люблю виски.
Да?
Хорошие виски люблю.
Из Шотландии?
Ну, шотландский, не знаю, какой из них шотландский, но люблю.
Угу. Вау, о, спасибо. Now I got a piece of chocolate to go with it. Очень-очень приятно. Вот кошка видел. Кошка видела. Что хочешь?
Чего хочет? Мясо хочет.
Конечно. А не книги. Не читаешь ли?
Вот тебе кофе.
Спасибо. Огромное спасибо. Спасибо.
Не за что.
Огромное спасибо.
На здоровье пей.
Вы можете рассказать еще раз. Вы знаете город Эдинбург, Глазго
Да,
и другие?
да.
Какие?
Ну, Данди это город.
Да, город.
Да.
Не очень красивый, но город. Вы знаете все города, у которых есть футболисты, да?
Да, я знаю большие города, маленькие не знаю.
Мгм. Ну, вы когда-то путешествовали в Европе?
Нет, я нет, но мой сын путешествовал.
Да?
Сын мой. Он был
Где он был?
в Амстердаме,
Мгм.
он был в Сиене, он был во Флоренции, в Милане.
А что случилось в Амстердаме?
Он там
Опасный город.
Нет, он там поехал смотреть Роллинг Стоун.
О, да, в Амстердаме?
Да.
Вау!
На Аяксе, на стадионе Аякс был концерт, мой сын поехал.
Вау! Очень круто.
Ну, Мик Джаггер,
Вечный Мик Джаггер.
да, вечный.
А сколько лет вы здесь работали в магазине?
Я здесь лет 8.
Лет 8. Это ваш магазин?
Не, это не магазин, это ярмарка.
А, разница какая? Это я не знаю такую услугу.
Ну, ярмарка это когда не один человек работает,
Ага.
а несколько разных.
Окей. И квартал это ваш,
Да,
и потом это уже другой.
да, это
Понятно.
другой.
Мгм.
Сюда ты пока будешь смотреть, а я помою это.
А, понятно, спасибо, спасибо.
Это тоже отец армянской истории.
Что вы думаете о советском периоде?
Ну, что я думаю? В принципе, жили неплохо, но мы должны были, так как мы маленькое государство,
Мгм.
у нас кто-то должен был нас как бы защищать. Поэтому мы вошли в состав.
Мгм.
Нам дали...
И жизнь ваша при Советском Союзе была лучше или
Ну,
хуже,
нормально
чем-
было,
Да?
нормально.
Мгм.
Нормально было.
И в сравнении с сегодняшним днем
Конечно, лучше было.
при Советском Союзе
Ну да.
интересно.
Армяне, народ, не знаю, ты знаешь, нет, талантливый.
Мгм.
Армяне во всех областях есть. И атомную бомбу создавали, и артисты есть, и художники, и писатели известные. Армяне очень талантливые.
Да.
Ты знаешь, что коробку передач автоматическую в Америке армяне создали?
Мгм. Мгм. Да, я это
Давно.
узнал.
General Motors, он сперва не брал, а потом прошло где-то 10-15 лет, и он патент купил у этого армянина.
А,
Да, так что это то, что автоматическая коробка передач на автомобилях, это благодаря армянскому изобретению,
а.
чтобы вы знали.
Да, я не знал, интересно.
МРТ аппарат армяне создали. Вот эту тележку, которую инвалиды на нем катаются, тоже
Ага.
армяне создали. В Америке.
В Америке,
Вот
да.
ты пьешь трубочку, пьешь кофе или там сок
Мгм.
пьешь, это тоже армяне создали.
Ха.
Мороженая трубочка вот такая, треугольная.
Все создали.
Армяне, да,
В
в Америке, в Америке. Так что армяне для цивилизации много сделали.
Ну хорошо, сколько стоит
Это,
эта книга? Да.
эта книга стоит 5000.
5000.
Да.
Окей. Ну, хорошо, давайте, пожалуйста. Пакет не нужен, у меня сумка, все
Но ты
хорошо.
когда будешь в Англии, ты там посмотри, Джон Хиггинс.
Да, я посмотрю.
Это хороший человек, он хороший снукерист. Он уже взрослый. Вот тебе 5000. Это армянский писатель, в Америке жил.
Да?
Уильям Сароян.
Хорошо. Вот хорошие усы.
По него, ну у меня тоже есть.
Да, очень хорошо.
По его книгам в Голливуде фильмы снимали. Ты знаешь, что у нас коньяк очень хороший.
Да, я слышал.
Да, у нас коньяк, когда Сталин подарил Черчиллю на 75 лет 75 бутылок коньяка, Черчилль сказал, что как жаль, что у меня не 100 лет. А то бы ему 100 бутылок дали бы.
Это коньяк Арарат? Или-
Это
да.
компания Арарат, но там есть разные коньяки. Там есть 3-звездочный, 5-звездочный, 7-звездочный, 10-звездочный, 15, 20 и 40. Он пил самый хороший.
Ну, спасибо за совет, спасибо за книгу. Очень-очень приятно. Спасибо за кофе.
Еще будешь мимо проходить, еще приходи, попил.
Очень-очень приятно. Спасибо вам.